Sound's not on. All right. Looks like we are live in YouTube. So, welcome everybody to the Speakeasy Cafe today. I'm Janelle Anderson. We're going to be talking some more about emails. This month we've been focused on, this whole month, actually the last 2 months, we've been focused on how to get more people into your workshops live in the room, which is an entire thing in itself. But, first you have to get people registered and then you want to get them to actually show up. And in particular, how do you use your email campaigns and your emails themselves to really get people to be excited to show up and come spend their time with you? And so today's topic is stop sounding like everyone else, the secret to filling your workshops with your voice. Have you ever looked at somebody's workshop page, maybe their social media post or their email, and you thought, maybe I should sound more like that person. I like their voice. I like their style. Maybe I should try to sound more like them. And I did that. I did that for months when I first started my coaching business. I was trying to build my own website. And honestly, I had no clue what I was doing. And I kept trying. I didn't know how to build a website. I was using Weebly, I think, at the time. And I studied other coaches' websites and I thought, oh, I really like that person's style. Maybe I should sound more like them. Maybe I should be more professional. And I kept rewriting everything over and over again to try and sound more like someone else, to try to sound more polished or impressive. And the more I tried, the more frustrated I became because nothing felt right. You know what I mean? And so I kept erasing everything and starting over. And I spent a couple of months doing this. And then finally one day I just got really tired of that struggle and I decided, you know what? I'm just going to sit down and write this as if I'm talking to one of my best friends. And so I really pictured myself writing all the copy for my website as if I was explaining to a friend what it is that I do and how I help people as a coach. Very conversational, no fancy language. I wasn't trying to impress anyone. I wasn't pretending to be like somebody else. I was just me. I was just talking to a friend. And that version actually is the one that most people connected with. I got so many compliments for years after that they loved my website because it sounded so much like me. They would literally tell me things like, I feel like I already know you just from your website. And that was the moment I realized something that's super important. And that is in all of your copy, whether it's emails or websites or funnel pages, landing pages, sales pages, those kinds of things, or social media posts, sound like yourself, be yourself. People aren't craving perfection, and they're not necessarily impressed by somebody that's super polished either. They want somebody that's real. People are craving and attract more people to actually show up in your events because they'll already feel this personal connection to you. So I just want to cover a couple things today. Number one is that your voice is what makes people feel safe enough to join you. People are hesitant sometimes to go to live in-person or online events where they might be seen by others that they don't know, and that can make them feel unsafe. There are thousands of coaches online, thousands of workshops, webinars, people posting online every day. So what makes a person choose one over another, one coach over another? And it's that magic word, connection. When they feel connected to you, they feel safe. They feel like they can trust you. They feel like they can relate to you and that you understand them, you get them. And they can even picture themselves working with you. But if your content sounds generic or stuffy or stiff or just inauthentic, overpolished, people won't feel you. They won't feel the real you, and they'll feel that disconnect. They'll feel that distance. People want to hear about you. They want to hear your personality. They want to hear your perspective, your experiences, your stories, your natural rhythm. This was one of the things that just changed everything for me because I was always worried that people wouldn't want to hear me because I didn't have a lot of confidence in myself or in my voice. I thought I was too soft, to easygoing. I don't have a big personality that like shows up on stage in a huge way. And I always felt like I wouldn't be a very good speaker or people wouldn't want to come to my events. But when I started just being me and just released all that pressure to be somebody other than who I really am, people started showing up and telling me that they really loved how I shared and what I shared and my personality because people love it, authenticity. They love to feel like they're getting to know the real you. I once talked to a coach. This was years ago. I was still new in my business, still struggling with that website and finding my voice. She was one of the ones that I looked at her website. I knew her because she had graduated from the same coach school that I did, and I had talked to her a couple times. And we had this conversation about her website. Her website was super fun and like quirky, I guess is a good way to put it, and just bright colors and funny video, I mean, not videos, but pictures of her and just kind of outside the box, right? Just different and not super professional at all, but she was just her, she was just being her. So we were talking about that. And she said when she first started, she was trying to sound professional and trying to fit herself into a box that she thought she had to. And it had the same struggle I had, and finally just said, to heck with it, I'm going to be me. And she's quirky and she's kind of bright, and big personality and funny little videos and jokes and pictures. And she found out that once she did that, like her business just started to bloom and blossom because people felt that authenticity with her. And so the lesson is I couldn't try to be her either. If I tried to follow her style, it wouldn't work either. And sometimes I look at people's videos that are really cool and I really like them, but they're different than me. And if I tried to emulate that, it would come off inauthentic. And sometimes I look at my own videos and I think, well, I don't know, I'm kind of like just even keel and not super jazzed or, energetic, but just sort of laid back. And that's me. And then I realized that's okay because people who follow me like me to be me. So that's what makes you memorable is when you're yourself, not sounding like a marketing robot, instead of saying something like, this transformational workshop will help you unlock your highest potential. Using those phrases that everybody's using, you could just be conversational and say something like, hey, if you're tired of feeling stuck and wondering why your workshops aren't turning into clients, I'm going to show you what finally changed them for me. Just very conversational, plain, everyday language. I call it street language, what people normally say when they're out walking around or talking to you. The first one sounds generic. It sounds like everybody else. Everybody's using those same phrases. But the second one sounds like a normal person. Sounds human, right? And human always wins, especially in this day of AI, right? Where we're getting all these messages from AI that sound like everybody else. In fact, I tell my AI, I don't want you to use the typical AI language like some of the newer ones are like you aren't broken, there's nothing wrong with you. I've been using that and I realize that's been a common phrase, and so I'm changing how I use AI and I'm making sure that whatever it gives me, I fix it and tweak it so it sounds more like me, or I tell it this is how I talk, and then I get better copy. And I think that's even more true now in the age of AI. People are feeling more and more disconnected because they're seeing this common language that obviously is AI. They want you to be you, they want to hear from you. So, the second point I want to talk about is when you try to sound professional or you try to sound like other people, it often actually makes you invisible. What do I mean by that? Well, if you're trying to sound like other people, you blend in and you don't stand out. This is one of the biggest mistakes that coaches make and that I made for many years, and I still catch myself making it, and I have to stop, is that when you try to sound like anybody else other than yourself, or you try to sound polished or even like quirky like my friend, or something other than who you truly are and your own style and your own voice, what happens is that you remove yourself from your own messaging, from your voice, because you're thinking, I need better words, or I need to sound smarter or more whatever, right? I need to sound more energetic, I might say, or more powerful or more expert like. But actually, what happens, everybody starts sounding the same. And that's definitely what's been happening in today's world. So when everyone sounds the same, nobody stands out and nobody is seen, right? It just, you blend in with the crowd. Just remember your quirks, your special style, your way of talking, that's a part of your brand. The phrases that you commonly use, your energy, how you show up. I'm more laid back and relaxed and chill. That's a part of my brand, right? Your stories that you tell about your experiences, your type of humor, your sense of humor, how what you find funny, and your passion as well. All of this is a part of your personal brand, and this is the stuff people will remember. So I always tell people you don't need to become more polished or more professional or more quirky. You just need to become you in your emails as well as everything else that you do, but especially in emails. So think about the emails that you send out to try to promote your workshop. Those should sound like a conversation, not a commercial, you know? So this is my third point. Your workshop promotion through your emails should sound like a conversation that you're having with a friend. This will change everything for you. Most people promote workshops like they do formal posts and they use a lot of big words and they overcomplicate their descriptions. They use corporate language or marketing language, and they actually give too much information instead of just what people want to know. So instead, imagine inviting somebody into a conversation the way that you would actually speak to someone. Imagine yourself sitting in a coffee shop, you're having coffee with this friend, and you're inviting them to your workshop. You can write captions like, "Can I be honest with you?" Or, "Hey, I learned this the hard way. This is what finally worked for me." Things like that. How you would normally tell someone if you're sitting down at a coffee table, drinking coffee with a friend, and you're telling them about your workshop. What would you say to them? This will immediately create connection. People attend workshops when they feel that emotional connection to the person leading it. And remember, there's lots of workshops out there. What's going to make them come to yours is that personal connection with you. And remember too that your people are looking for you and your personality. They're not looking for your people are. Now there's people that are looking for the quirky one, and there are people looking for the more professional sounding person. But the people looking for me are going to be those that resonate with my style and my voice. Not because all my graphics are perfect, believe me, I'm not great at that. And then it's not because, my titles are super clever, but because they're just straightforward in the way that I talk. Not because my emails sound corporate or professional or polished or even quirky, but they sound like me. They're going to trust me and my energy. Same thing for you. So here's something I want you to try this week. Go look at one of your workshop posts or emails or registration page even, and ask yourself, would I actually say this out loud in a conversation? And look at what AI is giving you if you're using AI, and ask yourself that question. Would I actually say this out loud in a conversation? When you really train your AI right, most of the time you'll get back what you would say in a conversation, but you have to train it right. You have to tell it, this is how I sound. This is how I want to sound. And so, would I actually say this out loud in a conversation? If the answer is no to that question, rewrite it as if you're talking to that person in that coffee shop, your friend. Don't rewrite it as if you're talking to a big audience. This is another really good tip when you're writing emails or any kind of copy. Write it as if you're talking to one person, one real human. And imagine that person is your friend. This shift alone can completely change your registrations and your show up rate. And I have a special invitation for you. If you feel like your workshops aren't quite attracting enough people or having the results that you want, sometimes it's not your strategy even, it's your real voice that got buried when you were trying to sound right. So your authenticity is your advantage, your story is your advantage, your voice is the thing that helps people feel really connected enough to say, "Hey, I want to come." So if you need help creating those kinds of messages in your workshop promotions, in your workshop itself, and you also want to learn all the other things there are to running and hosting uh, a workshop that can become a client enrollment system for you, that's what I teach. So I want to invite you to come to my next workshop, which is actually this week. It's called the Client Enrollment Workshop. If you're watching this video on YouTube, you can still go to the same link that will be in the show notes because I run that workshop regularly. So no matter when you watch this video, you'll be able to come to my workshop. And I will drop the link in here for those of you that are in here in Zoom. And those of you watching on YouTube, you can always uh, subscribe, and you'll see links below in the show notes. And you can always come to the Speakeasy Cafe in the Zoom room with me live and ask questions. So that's kind of cool. All right, well, that's my tip for you today. Hopefully that was helpful. And I really invite you to go and do that and ask yourself that question, would I say this in a conversation? And then change it if you would say no and see what happens. So those of you that are sitting here in the room, now is your chance to ask any questions. And I'll put the workshop link here in the chat. Anybody have a comment or a question you'd like to ask? Go ahead, Caesar.
I just want to say well, it's interesting, right? So I'm a sales coach, and in our sales methodology that we teach, we tell salespeople it's one of the rules in the methodology, which is if your competition is doing it, stop doing it. So it's just perfect because we also say, you need to use the stuff yourself. And so you're teaching all these people you're teaching your students how to do all this stuff. And then you don't really think about it when you're promoting your stuff. So you just woke me up to something that I'm going to go back and look at all my promotion because I am having trouble getting people to my workshops, and I'm scraping and scraping and getting a few people there.
Mhm.
And, and I, and it's real, in my opinion, very good quality stuff that I think they should come to. But
Yeah.
you're right. I just need to turn it into my voice. I've been using the copy that was provided to me and kind of tweaking it a little bit, but not really into my voice.
Good.
Um,
I think
so
that'll make a difference. Yeah.
yeah. So thank you.
You're welcome. And you brought up a good point, and that is that you have quality content for them to come and consume in your workshop. You know that you offer value. It's just getting them there, right? And
Yes.
yeah, we're in this very busy world where lots of people are doing lots of events and workshops. I get daily emails, multiple, I'm sure you do too, inviting me to different.
Yes.
So we have to stand out. And I love what you said about how you train your people. If your competition's saying it, don't you do it, don't you do it. Or if they're doing something, do it different. We have to stand out. We have to. And the way to do that is not to try to be somebody you're not. It's to be
Right.
yourself and really find your voice. I mean, I'm guilty of it too. We get busy and it's so easy to just take the copy somebody gave us. Like even when I'm promoting other people, I just take their copy and put it out there. But lately I've been changing that as well and tweaking that and inserting things that are me or restating things in my own voice to my own email list because they want to hear from me. They didn't sign up on my list to hear from someone else. So, everything that we do, we need to look at that and take the time. Take the time to train whatever AI you're using as well and just say, this is my
Mm.
voice, actually. Sometimes I'll take those emails that I get from other people and I'll take it to AI and say, put this in my voice. And it does a really good job of it. And if it doesn't, I'll say, this is not me, change that to this. And then that way it will, it'll produce, pretty good copy for you. But still always check it, make sure it's accurate and ask yourself, are there any phrases in here that I wouldn't say myself? And also look for those AI tells, those phrases it's starting to use all the time, like you're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. Everybody's saying that now. And I'm like, okay, I got to stop doing that. I've got to find a different way to say this. So it's a consistent thing we have to keep up with no matter what. We have to continually check ourselves and our messaging and make sure we're sounding like ourselves and finding ways to um, highlight to our people like what makes us different and what makes us unique. And
I'll say something else. I'll comment on something else that you said that I thought was very, very powerful. And that is be, you're not going to get the people that don't like you or don't resonate with your voice,
yeah,
right? But
yeah,
that's okay because they're not going to be your customer anyway, because they're not going if they come to the workshop, they're not going to resonate with you and they're not going to want to sign up anyway. So it doesn't make a difference, right? If you use your voice, you're going to attract the people that your voice resonates with. So
that's a great point, and that's what we want. Like you said, I don't want to try and sound a certain way to resonate with a person that wouldn't resonate with me if I'm being myself, because I'm not right for them, they're not right for me. So always speak to that person every time that you're doing a video or doing an email or anything. Imagine you're speaking to that one person that is right for you,
yeah.
that you want to work with, that would be perfect. And that's what will get their attention. So that's a good point.
I have a
Awesome.
couple of questions.
Yes.
First of all, which AI do you use?
I use a variety of them, but mostly ChatGPT and an AI called Marketer, which my mentor has created. He created his own AI, and it's really good for sales and marketing. It's called marketer.ai, and
I know a lot of people are creating their own. Yeah.
this without the ER at the end. You can look that up and get an account.
Yeah,
It's
I never thought about training AI to speak like me because what I get from chat, I like. But I wrote my last email and I just looked at it to see. It sounds like me. This is a question I have. I've been doing this for a long time and I'm not getting the kind of responses from my list. And maybe it's just the list, but when you say not to copy other people, I'm thinking that person's getting responses. Why
Mhm,
don't I do what they're doing so that I can get responses? Because I'm not.
mhm,
They're successful. So it seems, of course, we don't know for sure who
mhm.
people appear successful if they really are and they have $1 million in the bank like they tout. But
Exactly.
copying them makes sense to me. Not that I do it really, but in the sense that they're getting results and I'm not.
Yeah. It could be a number of things. It could be that they are getting good results because they are using their own voice and style. Also, maybe they're targeting the right market better than you are, or maybe, I don't know, maybe they've built a big enough business. Sometimes I know you said you've been in business a long time, and so have I, but even so, are we, messaging is so key and so crucial, and really understanding even the psychology behind the messaging part of it and the whole strategy is something that we need to take the time to look at. There's a psychology that happens when we're messaging people inside. It happens to us too when we're reading other people's messages that will overcome our own objections or our own resistance to people and to offers and sales. It's our own internal dialogue and our own obstacles that we've put in our own stories we tell ourselves that why we can't do something. And when that person that we're following can overcome those, not overcome them, but address them and help us to see, oh, I've been believing this about myself instead of this. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff that goes on. That's sort of kind of woven in to messaging that you may want to take a look at and learn some of that. And also, are your messages really pointed at and focused on the problem that you help people solve? Is your messaging about them and the results they want? Are you speaking to those pains and fears that they're feeling? Or are you just talking about, hey, I do this is what's in my program, and I do such and such and such and such. All of that needs to be, this is what you're probably experiencing. Here's some common challenges and pain points that people like you have or I have uh, felt and gone through, and you may be struggling with this, but you know, I here's an answer. Here's your possibilities that you could, like, it's helping them go from where they are now to seeing the possibilities that could be there for them, all about them, and making sure you're talking to them about them. And sometimes we have to tweak our messaging a little bit that way too, and check and see, am I talking to them about them, or am I talking to them about me and what I do?
Good
Subtle,
point. You're talking about a lot of variables, and
a lot
what's
of it.
happening when you start from point A and you want to get to point B and you don't get there. Is it this? Is it this? Is it this? And how can you, if you change this,
Mhm.
okay, and you didn't get the result, but then you change this, but then you didn't change this. It's almost like when people put up a book cover or an image or something, and they want to take votes.
Yeah.
You know, you can't always take votes on my email. If I
Yeah.
send out an email this week and I'm not getting a response, and let's say I tweak one thing and make it sound like more like me, and next week I don't get a response, is it me? Is it the message? Is it the people? There's
Mhm.
too many variables, and I've never been able to, no matter how many classes I take, and I've taken tons of them on messaging, it doesn't seem to be one thing. And if there's 10 things to fix, and I don't know which things I have to fix, or if I have to fix all 10 of them or only two of them, it's very, very frustrating to
Mhm.
not get results. I mean, I could throw the whole list out and say it's the people and start over, but I haven't been very good at getting new names on my list. I spoke on a summit last week. I was on the panel, and only 3 people showed up to
Mm.
the event. And there were 5 of us who
Yeah.
could have sent out lots of emails to our lists,
Yeah.
including the person who was putting it on, who had a very big list.
Mhm.
So that's not going to get me a lot of new emails. Uh, so, it could be the list, it could be the messaging, it could be me, it could be the time of day, it could be the moon and Venus. I don't know. There's just a lot of variables, and that's what's frustrating, not to know which variable it is. And if you change one, is it the other one?
Yeah. I see Caesar nodding his head. This is
But that's
like,
why following other people sometimes seems like the best choice, because they're getting results. But like you say, it could be so many other things
oh,
why
man.
they're getting results.
And this is the thing I think we have to all realize, is that we're going to always be testing and tweaking and trying new things. And there are lots of variables. So that's why we need to look at our numbers and do split tests of our landing pages and tweak maybe one thing at a time and see if that improves. It definitely follow other people and use maybe their strategies, learn their strategies and try them. But don't use their same exact voice. So that's today's topic, is that's one variable, is, are you really speaking in your own voice, in your own style? But there are a lot of other things, and it's a pretty consistent, constant thing, is to be tweaking things and seeing what's working better than something else. And no, like I've tweaked things for my workshops and gotten super good results, and then the next month maybe not as good, and I'm scratching my head like, what changed this time, Um, and you just have to always be trying things out, but do it systematically. I wouldn't try a bunch of changes at once, because then you don't know what worked and what
Yeah,
didn't.
correct.
Just consistently, because sometimes it might be one color, it could be one word or one phrase. And so you don't know, if you're changing a bunch of things at once, you don't know which one of those worked.
Or the
But
day of the week isn't work for
yeah,
somebody,
yeah.
a lot of variables.
Caesar, you got something to say, I can tell.
Yeah, I'll give you guys a short. I haven't been at this as long as you guys have. I just launched my business in January, but I've been tweaking how I go, how I do create my personal brand, and LinkedIn is where I've been focused.
Mhm.
And so I do get the analytics that they provide, and in this short sample time, what I have found most interesting is the videos that I post that are, short clips of 30 seconds. I think that's really good content. I would really like that guy if I was watching this, right? And they get okay. They're better than some of the other things I started with. But the thing that gets the most traction, the most views, the most impressions on LinkedIn is me posting a picture of me and my wife after we had Valentine's lunch or something. And I said, "Oh, we had a great lunch. This is my wife of 24 years." And I post that, and I get all these impressions, like everybody's looking at. And I think it goes to Janelle's point that people want to know you,
Yeah.
right? They want to know the real you, not copy. And I posted a picture of myself walking out of at Ventura Harbor, walking out of a networking event, and all of a sudden I'm getting all these impressions, like twice as much as this video that I thought was going to get,
Yeah.
everything. So
Yep. Good
Are you in
tip.
Southern California also?
yes, yeah,
Where
Ventura. I live in Oxnard.
I
my
was
brother li-
hard
my
when I was
brother lives in Ojai.
Oh, is that right?
I was in actually Port Hueneme when I was a kid, but we went to school in Oxnard. My dad was in the
Yeah,
Navy. Ah, how funny. I went to a
yeah.
school called what was the name of that? It was a Catholic school. I remember that. It was when I
High
was,
school?
no, it was elementary school. I was like
Oh,
first grade, second grade.
I have a picture of my family at Oxon Harbor.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Yeah, we used to go up to Ojai all the time. And I met my brother up in Carpinteria a couple of weeks ago. My sister and I took a bus trip up there. And
oh
then we're
yeah.
going up to Santa Barbara in August to
Before
Spanish Day.
we wrap up, just because we're still recording and live
Oh,
on YouTube. I did want to say, like the sign behind you, Andrea, it says, "Let me help you write your first nonfiction book." If you just change that and say, "Write your first nonfiction book," instead of "Let me help you," that could make a difference because now you're talking to them about a result they want, not about you helping them get that result. Even a tweak like that. Write your first nonfiction book from idea to Amazon.
the reason that I thought that would be better is because a lot of people don't know what a book coach is.
Yeah, but
And
they
I'm
if
trying to
you
educate.
yes, and you can do that later, but to like initially get their attention,
I'll change it.
focused on what they really want. So
You're the first person who ever said that to me. And
really,
that's really interesting because when people have book titles and they say how to, I always say take out the how to and put in the directive verb.
right.
It's
Yeah.
like how to write a book. Write a book and how to write a book in 90 days. Write a book in 90 days. So I always
Yeah.
tell them take out the how to.
Yes, you're on,
And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
use the directive verb. So I will redo that one. Thank you.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. Like just keep trying. All right, guys, thanks for being here. This has been a great conversation, and hope to see you again to come back at the next Speakeasy Cafe. And like I said, you can check out more of these on my YouTube channel. Come to my workshop. It's coming up soon. The client enrollment workshop, and it's just clientenrollmentworkshop.com. And I hope to see you there or somewhere soon. Have a good day.